In the most dangerous waters on Earth, off the coast of Somalia, a massive ship can turn into a target as soon as a pirate boat appears on the horizon. From the attack on the Seabourn Spirit, a luxury cruise liner ambushed in open water, to private security teams gunning down raiders and raw first-person footage, to the MV Lila Norfolk, where Indian Navy commandos stormed aboard and drove the armed pirates back into the sea. Today, we are counting down 20 real Somali pirate attacks, all caught on camera. Number 20. The Maersk Alabama lifeboat standoff. 4 Somali pirates climbed onto the Maersk Alabama, thinking they had just captured a floating jackpot, but the crew quickly turned the ship against them. It happened on April 8, 2009, hundreds of miles off Somalia. The Maersk Alabama was an American cargo ship heading toward Mombasa, Kenya, carrying food aid and supplies for East Africa. The pirates came in a small boat, armed and ready to take control.
A pirate boat tries to board the vessel, and that's the response from the private security on board.
But once they boarded, the crew did not just freeze. They scattered, locked down key areas, and made the ship almost impossible to control. The pirates searched the vessel, but most of the crew had disappeared into safe spaces deep inside the ship. The engine crew even helped trap one of the attackers. Suddenly, the pirates were no longer in charge of a massive cargo ship. They were angry, exposed, and losing control. Then the situation took a darker turn. Captain Richard Phillips was taken by the pirates and forced into a covered lifeboat. The Maersk Alabama was free, but its captain was now trapped in a tiny boat with armed men, drifting in open water while the U.S. Navy closed in.
Got another on top. OSS maintained camera footage.
Hold on a second. Go to the side! $10 billion side!
The destroyer USS Bainbridge reached the scene and kept the lifeboat under watch for days. Negotiators tried to end it peacefully, but the pirates wanted money and a way back to shore. The Navy could not allow either. On April 12th, Navy SEAL snipers saw their chance. 3 shots were fired almost at the same time. 3 pirates were killed. Phillips was rescued alive, and the last surviving pirate, Abdulwali Muse, was captured. He was later sentenced to 33 years and 9 months in prison. Number 19. The Samho Jewelry Commando Raid. When Somali pirates seized Samho Jewelry, they were not just stealing a tanker, they were trying to turn it into a moving base for more attacks.
So that's the big development coming in at this point, which again raises serious question marks over what lies ahead.
The chemical tanker was captured on January 15, 2011, while sailing from the United Arab Emirates toward Sri Lanka. On board were 21 crew members, 8 South Koreans, 11 Burmese sailors, and 2 Indonesians. The pirates took control of the vessel in the Arabian Sea, but the captain, Seok Hae-gyun, made one important move. He kept the ship in international waters as long as he could, buying time for help to arrive. South Korea did not wait around for a ransom deal. It sent the destroyer ROKS Choi Young to hunt the tanker down. For days, the warship followed Samho Jewelry while the pirates remained on board with the crew. The situation got even more dangerous when some of the pirates tried to attack another nearby vessel. South Korean commandos attempted an approach, but the first effort went badly, and 3 commandos were wounded. That did not end the mission. It made the next move even more serious. Before dawn on January 21st, South Korean commandos launched the full rescue. Fast boats moved toward the tanker, while a helicopter gave cover from above. The team boarded the ship and fought through the vessel as the pirates fired back with rifles and rocket-propelled grenades. The raid lasted about 5 hours. 8 pirates were killed, 5 were captured, and all 21 crew members were rescued alive. Captain Seok was badly wounded by gunfire, but he survived after major medical treatment. Number 18. The MV Taipan helicopter rescue. Pirates managed to board MV Taipan, but the crew left them standing on a ship they could not move. It happened on April 5, 2010. About 575 miles east of Somalia. Taipan was a German container ship sailing from Mombasa toward Djibouti when 10 Somali pirates came in fast and climbed aboard. At first, it looked like they had won. They were on the deck. They had the ship. But the crew had already made the smartest move possible. All 13 crew members hid inside a safe room, a locked space built for emergencies. From there, they shut down the main engine. That one move changed everything. The pirates were now on a giant container ship.
The Taipan had been flying third in a formation of 4 helicopters on a nighttime military exercise.
But they could not sail it towards Somalia, could not control the crew, and could not turn it into a ransom prize. A distress call went out, and the Dutch warship HNLMS Tromp moved in. The pirates were trapped between a lockdown crew inside the ship and a Navy frigate outside it. When talks failed, the Dutch decided to take the ship back by force. A Lynx helicopter flew over Taipan and covered the deck while 6 Dutch Marines dropped from the air onto the containers below. They moved through the ship, secured the deck, and captured all 10 pirates. The crew came out alive and unharmed. Number 17, the SY Quest, Hostage Tragedy. Quest was not a tanker, a cargo ship, or a warship. It was a small private yacht with 4 Americans on board. The yacht was captured by Somali pirates in February 2011 while crossing the Indian Ocean. On board were Scott and Jean Adam, a couple from California, and their friends Phyllis McKay and Bob Riggle from Washington State. They were far from any safe harbor when the pirates struck. This was completely different from a large ship attack. There was no armed security team waiting on deck. Once the pirates had the yacht, the 4 hostages were trapped in a small space with men carrying weapons. The U.S. Navy moved in with a massive response. The aircraft carrier USS Enterprise, the cruiser USS Leyte Gulf, and the destroyers USS Starrett and USS Bulkley closed in while the pirates tried to sail the yacht towards Somalia. Negotiators tried to end the standoff without bloodshed. 2 pirates even boarded USS Starrett for talks. Then everything collapsed. A pirate fired a rocket-propelled grenade toward USS Starrett, but it missed. Moments later, gunfire was heard from the yacht. U.S. forces moved in fast and boarded Quest. The fight was brief. 2 pirates were killed during the boarding, 13 were captured, and 2 others were found dead on the yacht. But the 4 American hostages had already been shot. Navy personnel tried to save them, but none survived. Number 16, the Battle of Minicoy Island. As pirates chased a vessel, an Indian patrol aircraft spotted the mothership supporting the attack. It happened on January 28, 2011, near the Lakshadweep Islands in the Indian Ocean. From the air, an Indian Coast Guard aircraft saw 2 pirate skiffs going after a container ship. But the real danger was not just the skiffs. Nearby was Prantale 14, a hijacked Thai fishing trawler the pirates had been using as a floating base. That was how these pirate groups reached ships far out at sea.
And once there, Indian commandos took over. They boarded the ship, they secured the 21 crew members, and finally, they sanitized the vessel.
The big stolen trawler carried fuel, food, weapons, and hostages. The small boats did the chasing. When the pirates saw the patrol aircraft, they abandoned the attack and raced back to the trawler. India sent INS Kankarso to stop them. The ship caught Prantale 14, about 115 miles north of Minicoy Island. The Navy tried to make contact, but the pirates ignored the warnings. Then they fired back with rifles and rocket-propelled grenades. What should have been an intercept turned into a long gunfight. The battle lasted around 12 hours. INS Kankarso returned fire, and the shots hit fuel drums on the trawler's deck. The pirate mothership caught fire, burned for hours, and began to sink. Then the survivors jumped into the water. Indian forces stopped firing and started rescuing people. 20 hostages were pulled out alive. 15 pirates were captured. 10 pirates were killed. Prantale, 14 sank into the sea. Number 15, the Sirius Star, hijacking. The Sirius Star was so huge it looked almost impossible to hijack, but Somali pirates took it anyway.
Hijacking a cargo ship in the Red Sea, 25 crew members taken hostage.
The ship was attacked on November 15, 2008, far out in the Indian Ocean. It was not a small cargo ship or a lonely fishing boat. It was a Saudi-owned supertanker, more than 1,000 feet long, carrying about 2 million barrels of crude oil. That oil was worth around $100 million, and the ship was heading toward the United States. The pirates launched the attack more than 500 miles southeast of Kenya, much farther from shore than many expected Somali pirates to operate at the time. To reach a ship that far out, they had to spend days at sea. But even a giant tanker has weak points. Parts of the deck sat low enough for fast pirate boats to get close. Once the attackers reached the hull, they boarded and took control. 25 crew members were trapped in a floating oil fortune, and the tanker was forced toward the Somali coast. The ship was anchored near Ardenne, a known pirate area. Naval forces could watch, but storming the tanker was too risky with hostages on board and millions of barrels of crude inside. For nearly 2 months, the pirates held the vessel while ransom talks dragged on. On January 9, 2009, Sirius Star was finally released after a reported $3 million ransom. Then came the strange ending. Some pirates leaving with their share of the money drowned when their small boat capsized, and one body later washed ashore with cash still on it. Number 14. The U.S. Navy Dawn Gunfight. Before sunrise, U.S. sailors approached a boat for what seemed like a routine inspection. Then the suspected pirates opened fire at close range. It happened on March 18, 2006, about 25 nautical miles off Somalia. 2 American warships, USS Gonzales and USS Cape St. George, were patrolling with Combined Task Force 150 when they spotted a suspicious setup in the water. One larger diesel boat was towing 2 smaller gasoline-powered boats behind it. The U.S. ships followed the vessels through the dark and waited until dawn to inspect them. As boarding teams approached in small, inflatable boats, the situation changed instantly. The suspected pirates opened fire from very close range. The boarding teams pulled back, and the pirates chased after them, still firing. Then the pirates aimed their weapons at the larger American ships. They fired with rifles and rocket-propelled grenades. Gonzales and Cape St. George were too close to use their biggest weapons, so they answered with smaller guns. A round from Gonzales hit a fuel drum on the larger pirate vessel. The boat caught fire and began burning down. Once the main vessel was disabled, the 2 smaller boats surrendered. By the end, at least 1 pirate was dead, 12 were captured, and 5 of the captured men were wounded. Cape St. George had only light damage, and no American sailors were killed. Number 13. The MV Ruen 40-hour rescue. For years, Somali piracy looked like it had faded. Then MV Ruen was hijacked, and the old nightmare came back on camera. The ship was taken on December 14, 2023, near Socotra. It was a Malta-flagged bulk carrier with 17 crew members on board. The hijacking shocked the shipping world because Somali pirates had not successfully captured a merchant ship like this in years. The pirates held the ship for months. And MV Ruen was not just a hostage vessel. It could also become a moving pirate base. With a captured ship that large, pirates could sail farther out, hide among normal traffic, and launch attacks from places smaller boats could never reach on their own. In March 2024, the Indian Navy caught up with them. INS Kolkata intercepted the ship, but the pirates did not simply give up. They fired at an Indian helicopter, shot down a drone, and attacked the warship as it closed in. The crew members were still on board, so the Navy had to move carefully. One wrong move could turn a rescue into a disaster. The operation lasted around 40 hours. Indian warships, drones, patrol aircraft, and Marine commandos worked together to trap the pirates and force the ship to stop. Commandos were even dropped into the operation by an Indian Air Force transport plane. By the end, all 17 crew members were safely rescued. All 35 pirates surrendered. The ship was searched for weapons and illegal cargo, and the captured pirates were taken to India for trial. Number 12. The Seabourn Spirit cruise attack. Passengers on Seabourn Spirit woke up to alarms, gunfire, and pirates firing rockets at the side of their cruise ship. It happened early on November 5, 2005, while the luxury cruise ship was sailing off Somalia on its way toward East Africa. This was not a cargo ship with containers stacked on deck. It was a passenger vessel with more than 100 civilians on board, moving through open water before sunrise. Then 2 pirate speedboats came racing in from a larger mothership. The attackers opened fire with machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. One rocket hit the side of the ship and damaged a passenger room. Another reportedly struck near the stern. The sound of impact and gunfire sent fear through the ship, but the crew moved fast. Passengers were moved away from windows and exposed areas. The captain increased speed, changed course, and used the ship's wake to make it harder for the small boats to stay close. On deck, crew members fought to keep the pirates back before they could board. One of the bravest moments came from Som Bahadur Gurung, a former Gurkha working with the ship's security team. He helped operate a powerful sound device that blasted the attackers with painful noise, but he was hit by shrapnel during the attack. The pirates kept firing, but they never got onto the ship. No passenger was seriously hurt. Seabourn Spirit escaped and diverted to the Seychelles for repairs, leaving behind one of the most shocking cruise ship attacks of the Somali piracy era. Number 11, the MV Faina tank hijacking. Pirates thought they had captured a normal cargo ship. Then they looked inside and found tanks. On September 25, 2008, Somali pirates seized MV Faina in the Indian Ocean. The ship was heading toward Mombasa, Kenya, but its cargo made the hijacking far bigger than a normal ransom case. Hidden inside were 33 Soviet-made T-72 tanks, along with ammunition, rocket-propelled grenades, and anti-aircraft weapons. The pirates later said they did not know what the ship was carrying when they attacked. They were after money, not tanks. But once the world found out what was on board, the hijacking became an international crisis. The ship was surrounded by attention from governments, navies, and news crews because nobody wanted heavy weapons disappearing into Somalia. There were 21 crew members on board. Most were Ukrainian, with Russian and Latvian sailors among them. During the ordeal, the ship's Russian captain died after suffering a stroke, making the situation even darker for the men trapped on board. The pirates demanded millions of dollars and warned that they could destroy the ship if they were not paid. U.S. Navy ships monitored the vessel closely, but storming it was risky. The crew were hostages, and the cargo was dangerous. The standoff dragged on for months. In February 2009, the pirates finally released the ship after a reported ransom of $3.2 million. MV Faina later reached Mombasa, where the tanks were unloaded under heavy watch. Number 10. The Moscow University Tanker Rescue. Pirates climbed onto Moscow University, but the crew had already vanished deep inside the ship. It happened on May 5, 2010, about 500 nautical miles off Somalia. Moscow University was a Russian tanker flying a Liberian flag, carrying a huge load of crude oil bound for China. When pirate boats appeared, the crew tried everything they could to keep them away. They used water cannons, fired flares, and steered hard to throw off the attack. But the pirates kept coming. After about an hour, they managed to fix a ladder to the side and climb aboard. The crew had already sent a distress call and locked themselves inside the engine room. That move saved their lives. The pirates had the tanker, but they did not have the crew. For about 20 hours, the attackers stayed on the ship and tried to force their way in. The crew held out while help moved closer. An Australian patrol aircraft helped locate the tanker, and the Russian destroyer, Marshal Shaposhnikov, rushed toward it. The next day, Russian forces reached the ship. A helicopter flew ahead, and the pirates fired at it. The helicopter fired back, killing one pirate. Then Russian naval infantry moved in by fast boats and stormed the tanker under covering fire. The fight was short. 10 pirates were captured, and all 23 crew members were rescued unharmed. After the pirates were disarmed, their boats and ladders were taken away, and they were left drifting in an inflatable boat far from shore. Number 9. The SPS Patiño warship mistake. Some pirates thought SPS Patiño was an easy merchant ship. Then the merchant ship started shooting back like a Navy vessel because it was won. It happened around 3:30 in the morning on January 12, 2012. Patiño was a Spanish Navy supply ship working in the anti-piracy mission off Somalia. It had just helped escort a ship carrying food aid to Mogadishu and was sitting at anchor when a small pirate boat came up beside the hull. There were 7 armed men in the boat. They were carrying rifles and boarding ladders, and they clearly thought they had found a soft target. Then they opened fire. Bullets struck Patiño's hull and funnel. The attack lasted only a short time, but it was intense. The Spanish crew sounded the alarm and fired back. Very quickly, the pirates realized they had made a terrible mistake. This was not a helpless cargo ship. It was a Navy vessel, and it was ready. The pirate boat tried to escape, but Patiño was not letting it disappear into the dark. The ship launched its Sea King helicopter, and the chase continued across the water. The helicopter crew warned the pirates, then fired near the boat to force it to stop. During the chase, the pirates threw rifles, bags, and boarding ladders into the sea. One pirate was killed in the fight, and 6 were captured. The surviving men were taken to Spain, where they were later convicted for the attack. Number 8. The La Somme warship mistake. In the dark, pirates spotted a large ship and went after it like prey. What they did not know was that it was a French naval command ship. It happened on the night of October 6th to October 7th, 2009, about 250 nautical miles off Somalia. The ship was Somme, often called La Somme. From a distance, especially at night, it could look like the kind of civilian tanker pirates love to target. 2 small pirate boats moved in and began the attack. The pirates opened fire with rifles, expecting the ship to panic or slow down. But Somme was part of the French naval force working against piracy in the Indian Ocean. The attack failed almost immediately. The French crew returned fire, and the ship suffered no serious damage. No one on board was hurt. Once the pirates understood what they had attacked, they tried to run. Somme turned from target to hunter. The French crew chased the pirate boats through the darkness and managed to stop one of them. 5 pirates were captured. The other boat escaped. What makes this case even stranger is that Somme was targeted again by Somali pirates the following year. In that later attack, another pirate skiff fired on the same French ship, and the French response led them to a pirate mothership nearby. Number 7. The FGS Spessart pirate attack. Pirates picked out FGS Spessart as a target, but they had just fired on a German Navy tanker with armed security waiting on board. It happened on March 29, 2009, while Spessart was taking part in the European anti-piracy mission off Somalia. The ship was not a destroyer or a heavily armed frontline warship. It was a German Navy supply tanker, which may be why the pirates thought they had found something easier. They were wrong. A pirate boat carrying 7 men moved towards Spessart and opened fire. The ship had a civilian crew, but it also had a 12-man security team on board. As the pirates tried to force their way closer, the security team fired back and stopped the attack before the pirates could board. The pirates broke away and tried to escape, but by then the situation had changed completely. They were no longer hunting a target. They were being hunted. Several Allied warships joined the chase, including German, Dutch, Spanish, American, and Greek naval forces. The pirates tried to run across the water, but they had triggered the exact kind of response they were supposed to avoid. Helicopters and warships closed in until the pirate boat had nowhere useful left to go. After hours of pursuit, the 7 pirates were captured. They were later handed over to Kenyan authorities, where they faced prosecution. Number 6. The Mortaza rescue. By late March 2011, Somali pirate groups were pushing farther across the Arabian Sea. One reason was the mothership tactic. An Iranian vessel named Mortaza had been taken and used as part of a wider pirate operation. The real crew was still trapped on board, while the pirates used the ship to support attacks in open water. Indian forces moved to stop it west of the Lakshadweep Islands. INS Suvarna closed in, but this was not a simple arrest. The Navy had to deal with armed pirates and hostages on the same vessel. Firing too heavily could kill the innocent crew. Waiting too long could give the pirates time to escape or launch another attack. The confrontation turned into a gun battle that lasted for hours. Indian forces kept pressure on the pirates until they finally lost control of the vessel. When the ship was secured, 16 crew members were rescued alive. They included 12 Iranians and 4 Pakistanis. 16 suspected pirates were captured, and their weapons and equipment were seized. Number 5. The USS Ashland skiff attack. Somali pirates fired on USS Ashland like it was a helpless cargo ship, then learned almost instantly that it was a U.S. Navy warship. About 330 nautical miles off Djibouti. Built for military operations and carrying a crew ready to answer threats at sea, a small skiff came toward the ship with 7 suspected pirates on board. Then the men in the boat opened fire. From their side, It may have looked like a quick attack on a large vessel. From Ashland's side, it was a direct attack on a U.S. Navy ship. The response came fast. Ashland fired 2 rounds from its 25mm gun. The skiff was hit and quickly caught fire. The men inside had no way to keep fighting. They jumped into the water as flames took over the boat. Ashland did not leave them there. The crew launched small rescue boats, pulled the 6 surviving men from the sea, and brought them aboard for medical treatment. One suspected pirate did not survive. No one on Ashland was hurt, and the ship was not damaged. The case later moved into American courts. Jama Idil Ibrahim was sentenced to 30 years in prison for his role in the attack, and Mohammed Farah was later sentenced to life in prison. Number 4. The Liberty Sun food aid attack. Just days after the Maersk Alabama rescue, Somali pirates attacked another American ship. This one was carrying food aid. MV Liberty Sun was sailing toward Mombasa, Kenya. After unloading part of its cargo in Port Sudan, the ship was carrying humanitarian supplies for East Africa, including food aid for people in countries hit by hunger and conflict. Then pirate boats came in fast. The attackers opened fire with machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Rounds slammed into the ship. One blast hit close enough to damage a crew member's room. The crew knew exactly what could happen if the pirates made it onto the deck, so they did not stay exposed. They locked themselves inside the engine room and kept the ship moving. That decision helped save them. The pirates hit the vessel, but they never got control of it. What made the moment even more intense was the timing. Only days earlier, U.S. Navy SEALs had killed 3 pirates during the rescue of Captain Richard Phillips. After the Liberty Sun attack, a pirate leader claimed that this was not just a ransom attempt. He said the attackers were going after American ships in revenge. USS Bainbridge was sent to help. But by the time it arrived, the pirates had already fled. Number 3, the Front Ardenne, pirate chase. Pirates went after the Norwegian oil tanker Front Ardenne, but the distress call pulled NATO warships straight into the chase. It happened on April 18, 2009, in the Gulf of Aden, during one of the busiest years of Somali piracy. Front Ardenne was moving through dangerous waters when a pirate boat came after it. The attackers were trying to close in before the tanker could get away, but Front Ardenne got the call out in time. The British support ship RFA Wave Knight moved in first and helped stop the pirates from boarding. The attackers broke away, but they were not free. The Canadian frigate HMCS Winnipeg and the American frigate USS Haileyburton joined the response, and the chase spread across open water. Now, the pirates had the exact problem they usually tried to avoid. They were in a small boat with limited fuel, while NATO ships and helicopters could track them from far away. The pursuit lasted for hours. The suspected pirates were finally stopped, searched, and questioned. 7 men were detained, and their weapons and equipment were taken away. Then came the strange ending. The navies had stopped the attack, but prosecution was not simple. With the legal limits at the time, the suspects were eventually released after being disarmed. Number 2. The TCG Gediz pirate intercept. Some pirates were already pressing a cargo ship when a Turkish warship came into the fight. It happened during the height of the Somali piracy crisis, when merchant ships crossing the Gulf of Aden could suddenly find small armed boats racing toward them. In this case, a cargo ship came under pirate threat, and its crew tried to defend itself while waiting for help to arrive. The pirates were in a small boat, using the same simple method that had worked in so many attacks. But this time, the target was not alone for long. The Turkish frigate TCG Gediz moved toward the danger and changed the whole situation. Once a naval helicopter was in the air, the pirates had fewer options. They could no longer hide behind distance or speed. The pirates were ordered to stop. When they refused to give up immediately, the pressure increased. Warning shots forced the boat to slow down, and Turkish commandos moved in to take control. The pirates were detained, their weapons and equipment were seized, and the cargo ship avoided the nightmare that had trapped so many other crews off Somalia. Number 1. The MV Lila Norfolk rescue. This happened in early January 2024, when the Liberian-flagged cargo ship MV Lila Norfolk was sailing through the Arabian Sea. The ship sent out an emergency alert, saying 5 or 6 armed people had boarded. There were 21 crew members on board, including 15 Indians. They knew that if the armed men found them, the ship could turn into another hostage case. So, they did what crews are trained to do in piracy waters. They got away from the open parts of the ship and locked themselves inside a safe room. Without the crew, the pirates could not easily force the ship into a full hijacking. The Indian Navy reacted quickly. INS Chennai was sent toward MV Lila Norfolk, while a patrol aircraft flew over the ship and made contact with the hidden crew. That was the first good sign. The crew was still alive, still together, and still holding out. Then Indian Navy commandos boarded the ship. They moved through the vessel, clearing the decks and searching for the armed men. But by then, the intruders were gone. The pressure from the Navy had forced them to abandon the attempt before it became something worse. Thanks for watching. Now check out the videos popping up on screen for more unbelievable stories.